Okay, I want you to imagine an empire, but this one has no borders, no flag, and definitely no army. And Okay, I want you to imagine an empire, but this one has no borders, no flag, and definitely no army. And yet, for more than 150 years, just whispering its name was enough to make kings tremble inside their own castles. They had the entire Middle East in a grip of fear, and they changed history with, well, pretty much just a dagger and a plan. This was the world of the Assassins, and we're about to figure out exactly how they pulled it off.
You see, this wasn't about winning a battle on a field. No, this was something else entirely. It was psychological warfare, and they were masters of it. They were like a ghost story made real, a force that could get to literally anyone, anywhere, at any time.
So let's do this. Let's peel back all the layers of myth and legend that have built up over the centuries and get to the truth behind this group. Were they just a bunch of mindless killers, like the stories say, or were they something way more complex, maybe even revolutionary? To start, we have to talk about the story everyone thinks they know. You know, the terrifying legend of a death cult that's been told and retold for centuries, inspiring everything from books to video games. Just stop and think about that number for a second. Over a century and a half. That's not just a passing threat. For multiple generations, the most powerful people in the world, sultans, viziers, crusader kings, went to bed at night genuinely wondering if they were going to wake up in the morning. That kind of long-term fear, it's just completely unnerving. All right, and right here, this is where the whole myth starts to fall apart. Their most famous name, Hashashin, which is where we get our word assassin, it was pure propaganda. It was a slur, made up by their enemies to paint this picture of them as just irrational, drugged-up fanatics. It was a brilliant way to completely ignore the strategic genius that was really behind everything they did. So if they weren't just a band of crazed killers, then who were they? Well, to get that, you have to meet the man who built this whole invisible empire, a man who built it not on stone or with soldiers, but on a single powerful idea. This is Hassani Sabah, and he was an absolute genius, a scholar and a master strategist. He figured out something crucial. You don't need a huge army if you can paralyze the guy in charge of that army. He didn't just see fear as an emotion, he saw it as a tool, a weapon that was way more efficient and powerful than thousands of soldiers. And his strategy? It's just a masterclass in asymmetrical warfare. Step 1, get a base that's basically impossible to attack, like the mountain fortress of Alamut. Step 2, forget the army. Train a small, super devoted, highly skilled group of agents. Step 3, don't waste your time on big battles. Just take out one single high-value target. And then step 4, and this is the real kicker, the assassination itself is just the opening move. The real weapon is the paranoia that spreads afterward, making your enemies tear each other apart from the inside out. So who were these agents? These Fidai, the ones who would carry out these missions? Were they brainwashed, drugged like the legends say? Well, the truth is, as usual, way more interesting. I mean, the reality is so much more compelling. These Fidai weren't drones, they were intellectuals. They studied philosophy, theology, and military strategy. They could blend into any court, speak multiple languages, and could wait patiently for years to complete a mission. And their devotion? It came from their deep Ismaili faith, which taught them that their actions served a higher purpose. And that belief pretty much removed the one thing that stops most of us, the fear of our own death. And this quote, this gets to the absolute core of their motivation. See, in their eyes, they weren't murderers. They saw themselves as surgeons, carefully cutting out a cancer. To them, a corrupt official or a tyrannical king wasn't a person. They were just one link in a massive chain of oppression. So by removing that link, they truly believed they were restoring balance to the world. It was a moral act. So you take that strategy, you add that level of conviction, and what do you get? You get something the world had never, ever seen before. A political force that was somehow everywhere and nowhere at the exact same time. Just look at this timeline for a second. It shows you the sheer scale and longevity of their influence. In 1092, they take out Nizam al-Mulk, who is basically the most powerful man in the massive Seljuk Empire. His death throws the whole empire into chaos. Then, a full 100 years later, they assassinate Conrad of Montferrat, a crusader king. Think about that, a century apart, influencing both the great Islamic empires and the Christian kingdoms. It's just incredible.
So, how did they keep this going for so long? Their operational security was legendary. Commands were passed not in letters, but through coded language, a simple gesture, or maybe a symbol left in a marketplace. The whole organization was layered, kind of like an onion. An agent in the field, one of the Fidai, would only know their specific target and mission. So even if they were captured, they couldn't betray the whole network because they didn't know it. It was genius.
And this chart, this really shows you how effective they were. The powerful Seljuk Empire, they destabilized it. The Crusader Knights kept them in a constant state of paranoia. It was only the Mongols, a force that just used overwhelming, brutal force and didn't play by the normal rules of politics and fear. It was only them who were able to physically destroy Alamut. The Mongols didn't fear the dagger, so the assassin's greatest weapon was basically useless against them.
Now, you'd think the fall of Alamut in 1256 would be the end of the line for the Assassins, but in a strange way, it was really just the beginning of their legend. This part is just fascinating. Before the Mongols could capture their libraries and steal their knowledge, the Assassins burned it all themselves. They chose to literally erase their own history rather than let their secrets fall into enemy hands. And by doing that, they transformed themselves from a real, historical group into a permanent mystery. They just vanished, leaving nothing behind but whispers and a legacy of pure fear. So why does any of this matter to us now? Because that core idea, the spirit of a small, anonymous group driven by conviction taking on a massive system, it's more relevant today than ever. You can see echoes of it in modern whistleblowers who use information to challenge a superpower, or in hacktivist groups who use digital tools to fight for what they see as justice, totally outside the lines. The weapon isn't a dagger anymore, it's a keyboard. But that fundamental principle of using secrecy to challenge power, it's exactly the same.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question. The Assassins completely mastered the art of being unseen back in their day. But in our modern world of total surveillance, where every click, every call, every move is tracked, is it even possible to be truly invisible anymore? And if it is, who gets to wield that power? The story of the Assassins isn't just a history lesson. It's a question that echoes right into our own digital lives.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting videos like these.